Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the NFL Draft Triple Take presented by UPMC. Mike Prisuta, Matt Williamson, and Dale Lolley with you once again as we continue our assault on the upcoming NFL Draft at the end of April. We've been going through our lists position by position. We're in the process of hitting the positions for a second time, and today we hit you with our third mock round one. And the beauty of this is, hey, your NCAA tournament bracket is no doubt busted by now, but mock drafts live on at least until the end of April. Everybody's got a winner. If they're doing them in St. Peter's, they have a winning mock draft right about now. But Matt, a bone to pick with you before we kick things off, or as we kick things off. This being our third mock draft, I wanted to color outside the lines a little bit and see what that would look like and kind of shake things up and go against conventional wisdom or the consensus public and or media. And you did the same thing. You stole my thunder, mocking Malik Willis, quarterback Liberty, to the Detroit Lions on the second round.
Yeah, and part of me is kind of like what you mentioned.
Second pick, excuse me.
Second pick overall. Right. And just kind of want to see what happens if it does go down that way. And I think Willis is obviously a massive talent. You know, we've talked about him in our quarterback triple takes. I mean, obviously, you know, people around here are very familiar with his work. There's a lot there to work with. But if you're the Lions, it's actually not a bad landing spot. You know, Goff can hold down the fort. They've built an offensive line. There's a lot of quarterback-friendly options like Hawkinson and Swift and Ahmad St. Brown, and they added DJ Chark. So if they can't get Hutchinson, I don't think it's crazy. But part of me thinks, hey, Willis could not even go in the top 15.
You know what? You could throw in the stability of a new staff that's just one year in and seemingly pretty popular with the fan base and ownership, some positive signs. And he is a compliment to the existing guy, Jared Goff. He could be your third down guy, your goal line guy. You could get a little something. Yeah, I think it makes a great deal of sense. And as Dale is well aware, having been to Mobile, Alabama, Dan Campbell and Malik Willis were in close proximity during Senior Bowl week. Dale, do you buy into this craziness? Matt and I are talking Malik Willis second overall to the Lions.
I could see it happening, guys. I just don't know if he goes at 2. I think that might be a little rich. I mean, I think when you're picking at 2, you want to get a surefire home run. You know, I see your side of this, but I just don't think they go that direction. In fact, I have him taking Ekwonu with Aiden Hutchinson gone. I know they have a strong offensive line. They could play him at guard for a year. Their starting left tackle, whose name escapes me right now,
Decker.
Decker. I believe will be a free agent after this season. So you could kind of help yourself out in that direction as well. And you could still re-sign Decker and you keep Ekwonu at guard, but you have options then.
Well, let's proceed here with mock 3 the way we did mock 2, and that is rather than go over every pick and beat the horse until it's well past its expiration date, we'll kind of take it in third. So Dale, we'll stick with you. Your top 10, a little chalky, a little down the middle. Anything jump out at you in your first 10 selections here?
Yeah, some of the edge rushers are kind of getting moved up the board. In particular, George Karlaftis I had going at 10 because of the Ajabo injury. I think that's going to shuffle things quite a bit.
Good pro day too.
Good pro day for him. The Ajabo injury. I think what's going to happen here. In fact, I know this is going to happen. I heard this when I was down at the owners meeting. Is a lot of the guys now aren't going to go through the drills and run at their pro days because of what happened to David Ajabo. You're talking about a guy who was a pretty much a first round pick, and now he's probably going to fall into the second round because of that Achilles tendon injury. And I think that's going to cause a lot of these other guys to not work out after this. It's also going to benefit guys like George Karlaftis and maybe even like a Jermaine Johnson, guys of that nature.
Matt, let's take a look at your top 10 picks. And what did you find intriguing beyond Malik Willis to Detroit at second overall?
Kind of harp on what Dale said about these edge pass rushers getting pushed up. We mentioned I had Willis at 2, but my other top 4 were all edge rushers, three edge rushers and Willis. And that could go a lot of different directions. I mean, predicting what Houston's going to do at 3 is very difficult.
They could take anything.
They can do anything, right? But then that played into Carolina, sitting there with Evan Neal versus quarterback 2. I think that becomes an easy choice for them to take the tackle. And then, harping on the quarterback thing, at 8 with Atlanta and 9 with Seattle, I think those two teams are extremely quarterback needy, and Willis, Pickett, whomever could end up at 8 or 9. But both those teams, to me, they both traded, potential Hall of Fame quarterbacks this offseason. The status of their roster, I think it's build the nest time for next year's quarterback. I would not really be in the quarterback market if I were Seattle and Atlanta. I think those rosters are in bad shape right now.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you again. I've got it the same way. I've got Atlanta taking Chris Olave from The Ohio State University.
Yeah,
now,
I gave him Garrett Wilson. So
right. To me, they're the same guy. I mean, I know they're different players, but they're both elite receivers. I happen to like Olave a little better.
Sure.
Just from watching games over the years. And I've got Seattle taking Ikwonu from NC State.
And I gave him Charles Cross. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
I emphasize the edge rushers pretty good as well. My number 1 to Jacksonville is Trayvon Walker. I'm not sure it's still not going to be a tackle because Cam Robinson is only brought back theoretically for the short term. And you could always draft your guy and play him at guard this year and then move him to tackle next year. But I went Walker number 1. I think he is the most intriguing. I think he's the Malik Willis of edge rushers. Not that he played at a lower level, but I want to look back 5 years from now and see who's done the most and who's had the higher upside. I'm not convinced it's not Trayvon Walker. And I've also got Kenny Pickett going to Carolina at 6. I think Willis gets people thinking about quarterbacks. And I think Matt Rule, similar situation to Atlanta and Seattle. They got a guy, but is he the guy? Matt Rule once had Kenny Pickett agree to come play for him at Temple University. And it never worked out, but there's a history with those guys. So, as I said, I'm trying to shake it up a little bit and see what this thing looks like. That's,
Guys, the one thing that's going to change, we still have a month before the draft. Something's going to happen with a couple of these quarterback situations, one way or the other. I do believe that the Browns will do something with Baker Mayfield. There's still a good chance. There's still a good chance that something happens with Garoppolo, and that could shake up the quarterback market, as we've seen already.
And that's why we'll do a mock 4.
That's why we'll do them again.
We will do this as many times as we have to get it right.
Mike, those two selections you just mentioned there, I want to harp on a little bit because I almost put Walker at 1. If you look at the Jags GM going back to his Niners days, he drafts no short-armed guys. He wants Alden Smith, and the only knock on Hutchinson is he's got short arms. You mentioned the Rule Pickett connection. Well, do you happen to know where the Carolina Panthers owner went to college? He's a Pitt guy.
There you go. This is looking better and better. See, we put our heads together. We talk it out. We get it figured out. Dale, let's get back to you. Take me through 11 through 20 on your list. What do you like about it? What did you throw at the wall?
Jameson Williams to me is one of the toughest guys to slot. He and Tyler Linderbaum are the two guys that I look at and go, okay, they're both kind of first-round talents, but the fit has to be right.
I slotted Linderbaum right out of the first round, by the way.
Did you? Well, that's one way to do it. I got Jameson Williams going to the Commanders at 11, and then I had Linderbaum going to the Vikings at 12. And I know the Vikings have, Garrett Bradbury at center. They can move him to guard. His contract is up after this year, I believe. So there's things that you can do there. And, I think, you just look at how he would fit in that offense would work because he doesn't fit in every offense. And, with Jameson Williams, you're probably going to have to wait a little while to get him on the field. But, man, when you get him on the field, you probably have the best wide receiver in this draft. So, and then after that, it was the receivers started coming off the board pretty quickly.
Matt, just from your, scouting background and scouting experience, guys such as the one Dale just mentioned, Jameson Williams and Ojabo, and if there's any other injuries out there, can that status change between now and draft day, or do they pretty much make their decisions, hey, this guy's probably not ready, so plan that way?
Well, one thing I think we need to stress is there is another gathering in Indianapolis between now and the draft for just a select few medical rechecks. And I'm sure both those young men will be there. And it's always good to get a hold of that list, because when you sit there, when we're broadcasting live with Dale and everybody, and somebody's there in the third round, you thought was going to be in the first, but, oh, he went to the medical recheck. Maybe there's something more wrong with him than we thought, or there was more concerning. That being said, though, like a guy like Williams, to me, I might be, or a Jabo, really. And I actually have a Jabo going at the end of the first round to the Lions because of the 5th-year option. If I don't need him right away, again, a Jabo to the Lions, they missed out on Hutchinson because they took Willis, that I want that 5th-year option, because if I have to redshirt him and then I only have 3 more, then it's not that attractive to me. But if I redshirt him and I have 4 more when I'm apparently a better team, that's appealing to me.
Yeah, I couldn't have stated it any better. I also think they fix knees now.
They do.
Right.
Yeah.
Medicine's come a long way. Yeah.
Especially for the lighter guys. I know a lot of Steeler fans will look at that and go, well, Zach Banner. Well, he's a heavier guy that you're talking here about. And Matt and I have talked about this on the drive, where offensive players coming back off of something like that, they know where they're running. They're not in a read and react kind of situation. Like,
well, in theory, they know where they're running.
You would hope so. Yeah.
They're supposed to know where they're running.
Yeah. So, a guy like Jameson Williams, can get back on the field a little bit quicker, than from an ACL. With a Jabo, it's an Achilles. We've seen guys come back from Achilles that same year. That seems to be a very common injury now. I don't remember hearing that injury as much 20 years ago. Do you, Mike?
I do not.
But now it's become more prevalent in the football game. And I guess it's a quick twitch injury or a Mark Caboli injury, one of the two.
Yeah, let's go with the former. To me, the fascinating part of the middle is Philadelphia, because the Eagles are picking at 15, 16, and 19. I've got them going with Karlaftis from Purdue. They love defensive linemen in Philly, particularly defensive ends. He's starting to move up, as we alluded to at the start of the broadcast here today. I've got the Eagles taking Jameson Williams at 16, because I don't think they'll be able to resist. And you get that Jalen Hurts, Williams, and the guy they took last year, and they're in pretty good shape, Roll Tide. And at 19, I went cornerback. Matt, you've got him taking Devin Lloyd. So we're both thinking defense, but different position there at pick 19.
Yeah, I also went receiver edge with London and Jermaine Johnson at 15 and 16. Yeah. And then I went with Devin Lloyd.
We're talking apples and apples, just kind of different apples.
Yeah,
for the
I did it backwards. I took Stingley first with them for 15, then London, and then Devin Lloyd.
Yeah. So. Stingley, another guy who maybe should be at that gathering in Indianapolis that Matt referenced.
Right.
No, well, he said he's going to work out at this pro day next week. LSU is next week. Again, we'll see if that now happens because of what happened to Ajabo. But yeah, he's definitely a guy that people are going to want to have back to check on that foot.
Yeah, another one. One of my favorite players in this draft, Jordan Davis, a defensive tackle from Georgia. I've got him going to the Chargers because the Chargers had problems stopping the run. Draft him. Now you don't have problems stopping the run. That's my theory. I think this kid's special, and I think he's going to be an impact player sooner rather than later in the NFL. Dale, we'll start it.
One quick note. I'm sorry, because I just want to bring this up about Linderbaum. I had Linderbaum going 14 to the Ravens, but only because there was a run in my mock of Jordan Davis and corners falling left and right. If Linderbaum doesn't go to Baltimore, they kind of have a hole at center right now. He could fall a ways, to Dale's original point.
Or mine.
Yeah, you're only having
you had him dropping out. Yeah.
See you tomorrow. Let's get to 20 in your Pittsburgh Steelers. Dale, take the floor, please.
I got him getting Malik Willis in this scenario. I just think that some of those other quarterback spots are going to get taken. I know they want him potentially, as a long-term answer. Maybe that happens. Maybe it doesn't. I think he would be tough to pass on. And the only guy that I considered in that spot at 20 who was still available in my draft was Trent McDuffie. My cornerbacks fell a little bit farther. And then I had a run there in the mid-20s of cornerbacks. It went McDuffie, Andrew Booth, and then Kyler Gordon and Kaiir Elam all went in that bottom half of the first round.
Yeah, mine's a little later, but yeah, I'm feeling you on that.
I mean, the corners go. That's they typically go in the first round. So it would be a tough choice for the Steelers, I think, between Malik Willis and a guy who I think is really talented like Trent McDuffie that they could use as well. So that would be interesting.
Matt, you've got him going wide receiver, which is, again, I don't think there are any wrong answers here. There's just different interpretations of, priority of hole filling. And I'm a big fan of Williams. I'm not too concerned about the injury thing. I take it, Matt, that you are not either.
No, and a couple of the names that were thrown out there, Willis was gone. Jordan Davis was gone. Trent McDuffie was gone. Trevor Penning was gone. So not that this is a consolation prize, but I think Williams, if he's clean, is probably the best receiver in this draft. And I've been saying on the drive, if you give me 4.5 years of Jamison Williams on a rookie contract, that's well worth the 20th pick to me.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, particularly with the position being in flux. I went with Devin Lloyd of Utah. Now, in my scenario, Malik Willis is long gone, and Jordan Davis goes to the Chargers, as I mentioned, run stuffing, instant run stuffing there for the L.A. Chargers. Those guys would be, if I was doing the picking, I would rank them in that order: Willis, Davis, and then Lloyd would be third. If Lloyd, for some reason, wouldn't be there, then Matt, I'd be with you on that wide receiver train.
Okay. And there's a lot of receivers you get in day two, too, so it's a lot to weigh there.
And, Matt, we'll stick with you as we round it out, picks 21 through number 32. What do you got that stands out?
One thing I think is, now we're talking receivers. All of a sudden, these playoff teams, I don't think they were happy in my mock that the Steelers took a wideout, because the Patriots are right behind them. And then Green Bay's now got 2 picks, but they don't have Devontae Adams. Kansas City has 2 picks, but they don't have Tyreek Hill. So, I could see some of these receivers going pretty high, and I could see some of these playoff teams, maybe even Tennessee, not being super thrilled about it. In my draft, though, Kansas City ended up with Karlaftis. I don't know if he can last that long, and Dotson from Penn State. And the Packers ended up with Olave, who certainly could go earlier than 22. And I also gave them Raymond, the tackle from Central Michigan.
Yeah, I had the same slot there. Dale, you mentioned your run on corners gets well underway here. And I find it interesting. This is the third time we've done this. For some reason, I've had Jahan Dotson to the Chiefs in every version of it,
Yeah.
even though their goalpost
Even when
is
they had
moving a
Tyreek.
little bit. You've got the same thing. He just looks like a Chiefs receiver to me.
It has to be. I mean, it just does, because they've lost some guys in free agency. They traded Tyreek Hill. The only real addition has been Juju Smith-Schuster. They need speed. Jahan Dotson would bring that, and I think that makes a lot of sense. And then, I had him taking Dax Hill, the safety out of Michigan, at 30 as well, because what's going on with Tyrann Mathieu and them, and even if they re-sign Mathieu, I mean, they were running Daniel Sorensen out there a lot last year. They could certainly use an upgraded safety.
Doing that for years. They've been doing that,
and he would give them a lot of options.
And Matt, I'm with you on Ajabo at 32. The Lions have 5 picks in the top 97. And if they don't take Hutchinson up top, which in my scenario, they would have that opportunity, or they might not, they got to get the other Michigan Wolverine and,
right.
throw a little bone to the fans. And plus, again, upside, this guy is in his infancy in terms of development. He's got the physical skills. He's obviously competitive enough. He's a fast learner. And I think there's a lot to like there. So if I'm Detroit, I'm going to take him. And again, pending the medicals. But what's the early guesses? He's ready for camp or the season, right around sometime in that frame.
Probably end of September-ish. Yeah.
And I looked at it this way, hey, Lions fans, no offense, but you're probably not winning the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah.
So if I only get 4 years of his 5-year contract, I'm still really happy, as opposed to taking him, the second pick in the second round. I want that 5th-year option for the injured guys.
Well, here's what I did with the Lions guys. I had the Lions taking Kenny Pickett at 32.
Okay.
And then putting Jared Goff up for trade.
Oh, I'm just going right to Pickett.
Going right to Pickett. They could get something for Jared Goff right now.
I believe they could as well. That's an interesting scenario.
I think that's possible.
Hey, right now anything's possible.
It's the way it is. It's April, baby. Almost, yeah.
So all three of us had two quarterbacks going in the first round, correct? I only had two.
Yeah.
Pickett and Willis. Did you
I had
Pickett going in the first?
I had Corral going to the Saints until the Andy Dalton development, and I took him off there. I had Willis at 2, Pickett at 6, and I think that's it.
Okay, I had Pickett to the Saints, and that was before the Dalton news. So it seems unlikely that they would add 3 new quarterbacks this year.
Well, they did move the other one to tight end, so that's
true.
That's going to do it for Mock 3. Hope you got a kick out of that, because we're certainly having a lot of fun throwing it back and forth and seeing where it lands. I want to remind everybody that you can access all of these types of shows on all of the Steelers' social media platforms. We'll be doing it again real soon. Until then, thank you for finding us this time, wherever and however you found us. For Matt Williamson and Dale Lolley, I'm Mike Prisuta. You've been listening to the NFL Draft Triple Take Mock 3, baby, presented by UPMC.